Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to episode 15 of the Eternal Backlog Podcast. How you doing? It's Shady here with us today. God.
Sure am.
I didn't even forget to introduce myself. It's Nomad here. How's it going, guys, out there in the universe? If you can actually get your gaming news, because we've had a presidential election, so it's completely dominated my feeds, how the algorithm works and all of that stuff. There has been plenty of salt to mine. It's been an interesting few days, and I think both of us are incredibly sleep deprived. I know I am, and
yeah,
I'm just looking forward to having a relaxing weekend this weekend and actually playing some games, because as we approach the play stack this week, one of us at least has been playing nothing at all. So stupid hours worked, and
it happens from time to time.
it does. I think that could be a recurring theme till Christmas anyway, at least from my side. But we're going to try and get some games in this weekend. And one of the stories for this week's podcast was a very interesting, unexpected little shadow drop, which we'll get into a little bit later. And then last episode, we dipped our toes into the world of Silent Hill 2, and since the last 14 days, I've heard a lot from yourself about, this is just really ramped up to another level. And look, let's just go straight into it, because I think that it would be nice to carry on from where we kind of left off with our featured game segment last week, because we don't have one for this week properly. But Silent Hill 2, we obviously gave it praise. We knew that the 87% was where we were kicking around on the Metacritic score. You could take that with a pinch of salt. But it left us with an hour's play saying, oh, this is something that, feels pretty decent. You've now got into it. I'm hearing glowing stuff. What's your opinions? Because you said last episode that Bloober,
I think, yeah.
Bloober was an odd choice for this type of game.
Yeah.
And now that we've seen more of it, what's your opinions? Are they done a fantastic job with it? Is it made you even more excited for that other game that they revealed earlier in the Xbox press conference?
So on the topic of Silent Hill, I think it's fantastic. I'm about 5 hours into it now. I've gotten past the prologue. I've just we've when you get past that prologue and you get the taste of Silent Hill itself, the little downtown area, you actually get into like an apartment block. And that's where the game really picks up, and you're in corridors and rooms and you're falling through walls and stuff like that, and there's danger around every corner, and it's just pitch black. You get a little light that sits on your pocket, your shirt pocket, and that's it. You start hearing noises around every creak, and it really ramps up the fear factor in the game. I've just finished that segment and I've gone into another area. Let's just put it this way, it's not of this world. I don't want to spoil it for anyone. And now I'm bricking it. Like every damn corridor I go around, it's just ramped up the fear to a next level. I didn't think it could. When it comes to the case of Bloober, it would have been hard for them to mess this up, to be honest, because they've had a blueprint to follow with the original release. So I don't want to credit them too much, because they've got a roadmap. You just got to follow someone else's work and put a modern spin on it. Yeah. I am very excited about their next title. I hope it is more like this than it was The Medium. The Medium was a great idea on paper. In practicality, though, it was very linear. Very linear. You could not deviate from that path as much as you tried. So for anyone who didn't finish it the first weekend it came out, well, you're not a good gamer.
Yeah. Well, that includes me then.
Did you actually play it?
No, never. I heard of it, but it was one of those games you looked at. Was it? I think it's one of these ones that was it ever on Game Pass?
Yeah, it launched. I think the first year or two it was on Game Pass.
So I wonder if I scrolled through Game Pass, maybe took one look at the box art. Sometimes you look at box art and you go, "Oh, that looks like it could be quite interesting." Was the Medium box art a little bit like one of those ones that you could pass up? Because
it looked like the Devil May Cry 4 box art, if I'm honest. But instead of like the Devil May Cry hair, it had like the white hair. No, the idea of it was great. You hit a button and you can switch between the current world and the other world and all this stuff to get around puzzles. But it was so easy. As soon as you switch to the other world, there'll be an obvious button in front of you. You push, switch back to the normal world. And, oh, look, the door suddenly opens. It was so easy.
A little bit like what happens in Control when you pull light switches.
No, nothing like that.
No, nothing like that.
The premise is the same, but at least Control makes you think, makes you work, makes you look around. There was just no deviation from anything in the medium. But the world itself is very Silent Hill. You can tell they were going for that feeling. So I suppose from that perspective, the medium was kind of their resume piece for them to say, look, we can do Silent Hill. Here's an example of what we could have done.
Yeah.
You know, so I think it was a very good sell for them.
So it's called the game's called The Medium. Did it have an appearance from Derek Acora from Most Haunted? Is that where they mean what they mean by medium?
No, it was just you're in touch with ghosts on the other side. So the character you play could actually,
then, I guess,
yeah, the character you play could, I think if I remember correctly, see and hear things from the other world. So you constantly switch back and forth. But I think technologically, because the medium got a lot of airplay from the moment the Series X was announced, because it started showing up very early in the coming soon playlist of games that will be coming out for the new console.
Yeah.
And I think the reason why was because the way that they made the game was it was actually running the same level concurrently. So instead of, when you hit a button to switch to the other world, it doesn't kind of just switch the player's skin and the fabric of the surroundings. It actually kind of loads the other actual game. There's two games playing concurrently.
Oh, right.
Which was really interesting. Now, I don't know if that's a good move or a bad move, because technologically that would have eaten a lot of resource. And I know there were parts of the game that dipped into the 800p's because of it, but
oh, God knows what that would have played like on the S then.
Well, can you imagine the enhanced edition only loads
they
one
didn't
because
release
the
a Switch
SSD
version, did they?
Nah.
So, later on in the game and then in Silent Hill, one of the questions I had was, and I already said that I'm probably going to have to dial down the difficulty, because I'm just finding that health pack to health pack, I mean, it's a 50-50, and that's an hour in for me in terms of whether I'm going to make it to the next thing or not. The fine balance, because I'd love to be able to stick it out on the current difficulty I'm on. I just get a feeling that the more I go into Silent Hill now, I'm going to have to make that selection. It is, as soon as you get into these apartment blocks where you got lower light, are you taking a hell of a lot more damage as a result, or
no?
Are they giving you more, resources? Because it's very sparse in the opener.
It's up and down. There are parts in the apartment block where you're dying for a health pack, and then in this other area that I'm now in, I seem to be given a lot more. And I don't know if that's because the game's expecting me to get hit a lot more. I have encountered a new enemy type, which is a little bit of annoying, bit of a pain to deal with. But I think much like you, when I started, I was whacking that attack button, just trying to kill these enemies. You've got to approach it a bit more strategically.
Yeah,
if you walk up to them, whack them, immediately take a step back, because they'll try headbutting you. You've got to use that. Yeah, that dodge button. Yeah. Use that dodge button as soon as they go to spit something, dodge right, and then you get 2-3 whacks in. Once you master that, it's not hard to kind of pick up. You're golden. I think where you may struggle, and even I'm struggling till this day with it, is you go around a corner. And what I've noticed the game starts doing is that radio pack that you have that kind of starts picking up interference when you're near an enemy.
Yeah,
it will delay the sound effect coming through the controller because it wants to do a scare tactic on you. Right. So think of it, you walk into a room, there's an enemy behind the door that you've just opened to get into this room. Your radio should be picking up that sound, but it's not by design. You get smacked by an enemy, then it comes out blaring. It started doing a lot of that. So you've got to kind of cautiously walk into a room sideways, take a peek and see if there's anything there.
Yeah.
Brilliant game. The atmosphere is second to none.
What's happening, obviously, got to be careful on spoilers, but
yeah,
is the plot line thickening out a bit more? Because it was very ambiguous at the 1 hour mark. You're searching for someone, and that's about all you know at that point.
I'll be honest with you, I've completely forgotten about the plot line. I know he's looking for Mary. I don't know if it's his wife or his girlfriend or something, but honestly, I've just been so captivated with solving these puzzles in this apartment block that I've not cared about it. I've not wanted to find out what's happened. It's just such a great game to be in, and exploring the world is just phenomenal. Yeah. It really is. I'm in two minds. I want it to end, but I don't want it to end.
Have you encountered any moments of reprieve, like just some moments in the game that you might be able to calm down and do something that's kind of, I don't know. It doesn't feel like the right game to do it, to be honest, but maybe the developers have thought about, hang on, let's just like calm the tension down a bit. Let them do something that's quite interesting or fun, or I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, for the majority of the apartment block, you're inside, but then there are moments you go out into this little courtyard area, and it kind of grounds you again, and it's just like, oh, okay, I get it. And then you got to step in there.
You're going to be all right there, at least.
Yeah, I think, and I'm glad about this, because if this game came out 20 odd years ago, every time you'd go back inside and reload the room, the enemies would be alive again.
Oh, Dead Rising.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. I think if this game had that, no way would I want to play it. Yeah, too much. Yeah. But they've scattered the right amount of enemies. They're scary enough. They're weird enough. It's stressful enough. But it's not stressful that it doesn't make you want to continue playing. It's just gripping, like, oh, I want to see what's in the next room. Oh, what's in the next room? Oh, I found that item. I can go back and open that door now. Yeah. And even though I'm describing it as a formula that we've seen time and time again, it's just the way they've done it. It's at least from what I've seen in this version of Silent Hill 2, the puzzles aren't as in-depth, or they don't string you along as far as a Resident Evil game. Because in a Resident Evil game, you could find something really early on in the game, and you get a key right at the end of the game, and then you have to go back and go, oh, hang on, I remember that. But this it's within the same sort of half hour or hour.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah, so yeah.
Have you encountered a triangle head yet, or is these in the later Silent Hill
pyramid
games,
head?
Perhaps? Is that what they're called? Like the guys with the triangles on their head, or
the metal box, sort of triangle box.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think they call him Pyramid Head.
Pyramid Head's okay.
You meet him in the apartment block for the first time.
Oh,
He's
no.
standing behind a grate. You're not quite sure when you're going to meet him again. I won't spoil it. I've come face to face with him.
Okay.
And there's a particular puzzle where you've got to get a coin out of a safe.
Right.
But the room that this is in...
It's guarded, maybe?
Let's just say, imagine someone who's been in prison for 50 years and they've claw-marked the entire room with clues and notches and drawings. Yeah, that room, oh my God, freaked me out a bit. It's just weird.
I want you to spoiler me slightly. So in the first hour of the game, I stuck my hand through this weird gooey substance in it.
Yeah.
What is that? Does that amount to anything? Because it feels like in the game briefly that you kind of do that, but then you go off and do something else, and I'm assuming you come back to it at some point.
Did you stick your hand in? Did you stick your hand in all the way?
What is there's option to do both?
Yeah. So when you push your X button, you'll put your hand in. Push X again, it'll go a little deeper. Push X again, it goes all the way, and you can pick something up.
These are the little nuances, like the cash register.
Yeah.
That I'm not seeing. So I've passed that bloody building now. Is that going to stop me from progressing?
No, that's in the apartment block, isn't it?
It's pretty early on, and you got to find the early. You got to go up to the apartment 8, or I can't remember the number.
Right. Oh yeah, that's the very first apartment. I don't remember what you
stick your hand in a crevice that looked like a Just Stop Oil protest.
It's not the first time you do that either. Not the protest. The goo. I forgot what you get. There is something there that is key that you need to progress.
Well, so I'm going to have to go back.
Yeah. Phenomenal game. I'm the kind of player I am. Whenever I come across tablets or things to read in games, I don't read them. I don't like being broken out of the immersion, and that's one thing I hate about Bethesda games in general. It always wants to throw a tablet up on screen with 8 pages of something to read. No, I don't want to do that. But this game, I'm finding that I enjoy reading the notes, which says a lot.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think a lot of it comes down to pacing.
Yes.
I think I said last episode that they didn't eke out too many enemies, because if you start to do all that, it becomes, exactly what you're up against.
Yeah.
You get used to it. It's the suspense factor.
Yeah.
So it's looking good then.
I heard the core.
Got another 10 hours yet on that game.
Who are we not sponsored by this week?
Well, we've got a little. I'll show you that part of the thing.
We got the Kendrick out, have we? Kendrick Lamar.
We've got the Kendrick Lamar. thing out. Yeah, exactly. Well, it's been a rough week, so it has to be done. Where was I going to go on this? So you were talking to me about the... because I'm going to ad-lib for a bit because we've got some stories, but we've also got some time. So for anyone out there looking for any designer merch, we're both wearing proprietary caps here. This one I found. I must have bought this ages ago. I was having a little sort out, just randomly found one of my baseball caps that I acquired a long time ago. Happened to be a nice, decent PlayStation cap. But more to the point, you were saying about the Atari store. I could see that they've got the garb on your head. What did you pick up from the Atari store? Was it just that, or was there some other stuff as well?
Well, originally it was just this dad hat, which without the headphones makes my head look really small.
It does squash it a bit, doesn't it?
I don't know what it is. It makes me look like a measle. Anyway, so I got an email because obviously they sign you up to the newsletter after you buy something, and they have limited edition Atari Jaguar hats. So I got the Jaguar one with the little Jaguar eyes and the logo. Yeah. That one I think arrives today, actually. So maybe next episode.
Yeah. Okay. We'll look out for that one. Did they have any other? What type of line did they have on there? Did they have any? Was it just t-shirts, caps?
They got everything.
Everything. Okay.
I think the best store I've seen for merch is definitely the Xbox store. There's just everything from like fleeces and towels and pins and everything. Yeah. Atari's probably a second. Just everything you can think of they've got on there.
Really? Even
I wish
they
Sega
haven't got nothing Atari ST on there.
They sell 7800s and 2600s on there, so it's got a lot of pages of merch. I didn't even go through it all.
Have a look, see if there's anything Atari ST wise.
And this is what annoys me. I'm on the Sega newsletter as well, and I wish Sega did a better job because I was looking specifically for a Dreamcast cap with a logo with a swirl on it. Couldn't find it. They got all the newer stuff like Sonic Shadow and all that. All right, cool, but I want the legacy stuff, you know? Water bottles. Nah.
eBay for that, mate. Not official product, but you know.
Well, this is it, you know. I can't imagine a 3-year-old building my hat, you know.
You've also been banging the drum.
I've been banging the drum. Taiko no Tatsujin. Rhythm Festival's finally out on PS5 and Xbox. It's been out 2 years now on the Switch, but never got it, to be honest. I didn't even know it was out. And it's just something that me and the missus play. Really accessible for her, and God, I love the Japanese pop. I don't know what it is about it.
Yeah.
It's just stupidly good fun, and you're sitting there learning Japanese without knowing Japanese.
Nice.
Yeah, 700 plus songs. Got a music pass, which I'm leaning towards.
You went for the music pass, huh?
Not yet. I bought the full game with I got the deluxe edition because it comes with 3 DLC packs full of songs.
Yeah.
So I think if those start wearing down, then it's already flashing, 30% off your first month. Might give it a try.
Well, if you got the drum, I can't blame you because I went full pelt, didn't I?
You got a guitar.
Ago, we went full pelt for the almost. I think I'm 1 or 2 games short from the full collection of the Guitar Hero and Rock Band series. So
what are you missing?
Almost got them all. I think there's a few of them that you look at the price point, and I'm like, a bit too expensive. I think I'm a couple short, and I think there's specific bands, which unless you really, I don't think I have. I think they brought out a Green Day one. I could take or leave that. I prefer the compilation stuff, Yeah. So
I still think 3 was the pinnacle for me.
3 was great. 2 was great. Rock Band 1 and 2 were fantastic. Rock Band 3 was decent. Rock Band 4, I mean, good luck playing that because you've got to buy some converter. So you use your old legacy guitars, but you use some controller widget so it works on the Xbox One because it came out on Xbox One, and they are just the prices for that are through the roof. So really? I've got that. I've got the physical copy of Rock Band 4. Whether I'm ever going to play it is another question, but But it is good, especially when you get in there. You have a couple of drinks. We've talked about that in the past. I'd love to see a little. Surprised. I'm very surprised. This genre isn't dead, and the fact we've not seen anything since Guitar Hero Live, where I think it fell off a cliff because they made it too complex. is a little surprising. I would love to see that come back, but
I think this is kind of going through the same thing that Marvel vs. Capcom went through. It's in licensing hell right now, isn't it? Because anyone who wants to pick this up, because you got to remember everything since the original set of games has been changed. Because now we're in the streaming era where all the contracts are different, whereas back then, it was all based on single sales. But now, every time you play a song, you've got to somehow get a royalty kickback. You know, so it's going to be an always online game, which is not going to bode well with gamers for a start.
No.
And then how's that going to factor into the final price? Because, you know, what we're going to have a live subscription Guitar Hero? Because that's the only way to fund that kind of business model. Yeah. And no one's going to do that. This is it.
I don't know. Maybe we need a keyboard game. I don't know.
A keyboard game. I'd love to see, and I don't know exactly what set of instruments this will work with, but I would love to see a Michael Jackson game, music game. Maybe it's the full swing. Maybe you've got someone on the vocals, someone on the bass, someone on the keyboards, guitar. You know what I mean? There's got to be an achievement for that. Get it right?
Shut 'em out. Yeah. Oh, it's just, you've got some bangers, and make sure you got like a good chunk of the Dangerous album on there.
Oh god, Dangerous is. You've got. I look at Michael Jackson as two halves. You've got all the stuff that, at least for me, it's all the stuff from Bad and before, which are like my childhood, you know, classics, Thriller and all that lot. And then Dangerous was kind of like I started getting into my teens and like started understanding the world a little bit more, and all that stuff in there, which is like, oh yeah.
There was the opening track on Dangerous where someone's knocking on the door and then the glass breaks.
That's good about Black or White, I think.
I think something like that. Yeah. Like the opening bit. I used to crank that to the gills because it made it sound like...
Jam.
That's it, yeah. I used to crank that song to the gills and it made it sound like I was having a proper moment.
See, for me, I think it's track 4, She Drives Me Wild. Ah, that's my jam.
Drives me wow. That's a great track. And I tell you what, you got to get bonus points if you're prepared to get up to the mic and sing an Earth song.
Oof, I think that's where I turn the album off, actually.
What have we done to the world?
What have we done?
That'd be so. ESG is that song's due a comeback. But anyway,
this has turned into the Michael Jackson podcast.
It is certainly the Michael Jackson podcast, but we're fillering for this episode for a specific reason.
But one small interesting tidbit that I discovered last night, actually, on the new Rhythm Festival Taiko game.
Yeah.
First time ever, at least that I'm aware of, got a Billie Eilish song in the set list. Yeah, which was really interesting.
The really popular one? She's walking around the mall in the music video.
Bad Girl, I think it's called. Bad Girl or Bad Boy, whatever. I don't know. One of them.
What the
that's the one. Yeah.
Yeah.
I was like, oh wow, maybe they're opening up a little bit.
Yeah.
But I think that's why it's amazing. It's just such a weird collection of songs, but they work. They bloody work.
So what platform was that, on the PlayStation or Xbox? Did you got that one?
I got it on Series X yesterday. Right. It's been out on Switch for 2 years though.
So is it, in terms, because I love these types of style games, how compact is the drum? I mean, can you store it away somewhere pretty easily or not?
My drum hasn't arrived yet, so I'm still padding it.
Oh, the drum's still not arrived?
I checked my Amazon order received, so I guess I haven't received it from the manufacturer yet. Oh. It's made by Hori, so they make a bunch of arcade sticks, so I know it's going to be a good quality one, but I'll have to let you know, but I'm looking forward to that drum, I'll tell you that. There are some songs that you can not hit the buttons that quickly on, but having 2 sticks that...
Yeah, exactly.
Easily achieve that.
Nice.
I would definitely recommend, if you do want to spend the sort of 40 quid, it's not a full price game. There's an online mode. So...
Oh, what? We can get it on.
We can get it on. Party mode. Yeah.
Let's get it on. Not that way. I don't know. I definitely want to get the... Could definitely do with getting the drum, perhaps. If it's compact enough. Because, space is a major problem here.
I think if you took like a shoebox and you sort of halved it, I think that's the size of it. From what I'm gauging. From what I've seen. Yeah.
Okay. As long as it's not too much bigger than the Donkey Konga drums.
Oh, no, I don't think it's that big. Yeah. One thing that's... Because we had a Taiko game before. I think it was called Drum and Fun. And I've got that one, but the issue I had with that was I think it was running at 30 FPS. So there was a massive latency when you hit a button to it registering at the point you intended it to register on screen. But this one of the features they broadcasted during the promo video was that it was running at 120 FPS.
Right.
And you definitely feel that. It's so much better to nail the notes and get a good result on each note. So really enjoying that. And actually, for the first time, the achievements to get the full 1,000 do seem possible. Whereas the old one, they got you playing for years to get those.
Oh, did they? Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I've only ever played the arcade. With just some random shack down in Devon.
Croydon, yeah.
And just some, imagine a holiday park with their local arcades, and they had one of their machines in it. And I was playing it, and my arms were mashed.
Yeah.
They were mashed. Like, uses muscles you never used to use them, but anyway.
No, it's definitely something that you get your partner on the couch to play as well. They'll appreciate it for sure.
Nice. And then Astrobot.
Yep.
The speed runs, have you cleared them?
We've gotten 5 weeks of updates now, so I've cleared all 5. I think we've got one more on the little circular world galaxy thingamajig, and I don't know what happens after. Do we get a boss? We'll have to find out next week.
Nice. Have they done anything a bit more with have they changed from one thing to the next, or have they been very much predictable?
They're all predictable. Each speedrun level, you have a different power-up to kind of aid.
Right.
Something... I think the first one was the dog. The one I've just done recently was like the octopus. It's all predictable. It's at a point now where I'm nailing it 100% the first time I play it. So literally, the game gets updated. 3.5 minutes in, I'm shutting it down because I've done it.
Are they more enjoyable than the challenge levels, though, in the game?
They're more enjoyable, yeah. The challenge levels were brutal.
Yeah. Maybe I'll boot her up. I'm still stuck still at the chameleon boss.
Oh, God.
But I haven't been able to play much,
You got to finish that game. The last level's phenomenal. Not just for Astrobot, but for gamers.
Yeah.
It's a PlayStation museum almost. It's beautiful what they did.
Nice.
What they did.
I'll have to go back. I saw a post. You know what it's like with the ultra fanboys that are playing around with the idea of, trying to point score each other. And I think it was Snap Blast Play, was saying Redfall's been played more than Astrobot. I'm like, well, given the fact that it was on Game Pass, I'm not surprised. But, you're going for that angle. But anyway.
But, someone's going to be like, well, Redfall was never up for Game of the Year contender. So, that's they're going to respond. And
then we played a bit of Black Ops 6. I don't know what to think about the multiplayer, to be honest. I've got to be honest, I prefer the maps of Modern Warfare 3. I think you're having a better time of it than what I am. I think when I introduced myself to Modern Warfare 3, it was the week that the bait map released, and I played a lot of... And I just happened to click with a certain map, and maybe things will change if I play a little bit more of it, but I just found some of the map rotation a little odd. I don't quite understand why Nuketown isn't put in the main mix of maps at the moment. We played a couple of nights ago, and but do you know what it's about? It's about me bottom of the leaderboard every bloody match. That's what it is. If I can finish above the bottom, it's a good day for me.
You know what I'm going to say, right?
You're topping it every time.
You know what I'm going to say, right?
What?
It's that variable refresh rate screen and the auto low latency mode. It makes a difference. No, I know. It makes a difference, yeah. Back before I bought my OLED, I was sort of medium in every game. Mid.
Yeah.
Maybe one up, one down, but mid all the time. But as soon as you get that auto low latency, the variable refresh rate, your response from hitting that button is instant on the screen. And with the OLED panels, it's just, there's no smearing. It's instant pixel interpolation. It's just on. It's beautiful.
Well, I'm going to pull something out here briefly.
You're not pulling out a TV, are you?
Not pulling the TV out. We're going to pull this beast out. Look at this fucker.
What's that? Oh!
There it is. The ASUS TUF AX3000 gaming router that's kind of got its own Game of Thrones crown on the back of it. Still need to install this. I'm wondering if I Ethernet that. we're going
Absolutely.
to go up
Yes.
a few places automatically.
If I could Ethernet my house, I would, but I've only got one WAN port coming in, so I'm wireless the entire way.
Yeah.
You do feel it, but
Should we do a test next week? See how much of a difference it makes.
So
I'll
what's the story then? So why did you get that? Are you experiencing some?
I only got it because of the other half. The other half keeps complaining the bloody Skybox ain't connecting. I'm trying to watch my programs, and the Skybox, the Q Mini keeps egging out. So I have to keep pressing the reconnect button. What? And I'm like, I've just spent 125 quid just so you can watch whatever rubbish you're watching upstairs. I didn't even get it because I'm not like that level into like sunk into like a Call of Duty game that I need an edge.
You will be.
We'll see if I get the advantage. I'm quids in. If I'm getting value out of that 120, I couldn't even contemplate paying £125 for a router. I was just sick of the complaining, so I had to do something.
That
about
is
it.
priceless. Yeah,
exactly.
And it's cheaper than buying her a new phone.
I just want a peaceful life.
That's how. Anyway. I mean, I told you off air, but for the sake of the audience, I had to just drop $600 on a new router mesh system. Yeah. Because mine is just I'm having nothing but issues with my current one. So Saturday's a big day for me. That's a lot
of cash.
But I'm edging 150 wireless devices in the house. Smart home, door locks, alarms, cameras, you name it.
Oh yeah, you got on another level, especially with the solar as well.
Solar, I've got, you name it. I've got everything tied up to this thing, so I kind of need that bandwidth. And my ISP is starting to give me attitude now. I'm not, for some reason, I've not been getting. I used to get 940 upload, and for the last 2-3 months, I'm getting 102. Literally 102. Yeah. And they can't see any issues on their end. So I'm going to take advantage of Amazon's 30-day return policy. I'm going to try an entirely different brand of mesh system, hook it up, and then if it works, it works. If it doesn't, then Amazon, your product doesn't work. I need my money back. And they do it every time.
Just when this kind of start, I swear this started from a specific game console that didn't turn up at someone else's place once.
I know, the audacity.
And it's traversed from there, and there's been a few times.
Listen, I'm just exercising my consumer rights.
Exactly. The constitutional rights.
That's it.
But anyway, I'm going to talk about the one game I played very briefly, because I've only played an hour of it. I did an hour of the main campaign of Call of Duty's Black Ops 6 inside my VR headset. And opens up very rudimentary, this campaign. There's apparently some open world missions in this one. I've yet to experience it. A very odd start to this. I was expecting some power play intro into the opening mission of this game, and I'm guessing they're going to ramp up the tension. They're built plotline building, because it doesn't exactly start with a bang. But then in the dialogue of the game, they talk about this place called the Rook, and this isn't spoiling anything, but essentially what is new, and I say it is new, maybe it's not new, but you get a safe house that you can customize and go into and use it as an area to basically build up your points and stat system that you keep returning to, a bit like GTA 5 before you plan a heist.
Black Ops Cold War did that.
Oh, did it really?
It had a safe house, yeah, and every time you can pick missions on a map. And there were, I think it was like Cold War, but there was like side missions you could pick and main missions, yeah.
All right, so it's done some of that, which for me was new. And I was like, it's kind of cool. It doesn't really add it's not like super dynamic.
Yeah.
It's not like they've gone full Bethesda. You can go and install your own radio clock, and not that you can invite anyone into it.
Power generators.
So it doesn't really matter. Yeah, exactly. But yeah, it's opened up pretty good. I don't know.
Not gripped you then?
I think I'm kind of missing. I think there's something about Makarov in the Black Ops series that, even though I was completely jaunted out of the other games. Like, played the previous Call, didn't know who Makarov was, but there's something about Makarov in that Modern Warfare series that you're like, this guy is, there's just something about him that is playing different to the opening of the Black Ops series. But I don't think we've seen the main dodgy dealer, or whatever you want to call him, in this. Early, can't really judge it. Looking forward to getting back into it, but looking forward to getting into the more modern back catalogue, if you will. Because I did enjoy it, but I still prefer Modern Warfare 3's multiplayer at the moment, regardless of.
That's interesting you say that, because the reviews have been given this 9 out of 10, which is, considering Modern Warfare 3 got a 4 out of 10, it's a massive step up.
What, in terms of single player campaign? Or...
Yeah, they gave Modern Warfare 3 4s and 5s.
Yeah, so I think where I am, it's trying to build a backstory, and I've not seen the best it has. So I'm not going to... Just don't expect it to open up like a blockbuster.
You haven't been introduced to Saddam Hussein yet?
Was Saddam Hussein actually a character in the game, or...?
Well, I remember the sizzle reel. There was Colin Powell and Saddam Hussein.
You get a little bit of that, but it doesn't... Right, at the moment, it's not intertwining. It's almost scene setting your... the year you're in,
I mean, this is like Operation Desert Storm time period, isn't it? I think it's like so. Q8 and stuff, yeah.
Yeah. But it'll get there. But it just plays very, very similar. But I'm sure it will start to open up. So by the time we record our next episode, I'm sure I would have chomped through that by then, and my opinions will be very different. But I think that wraps up our play stack. And I'd say we got a feature game this week. We don't.
But enjoy this footage.
Good we've ad-libbed for 37 minutes. So we're looking pretty good. I think we've got to start off with the unexpected elements, right? So we completely were a little bit awestruck with Hideo Kojima shadow dropping Death Stranding onto Xbox. No one really saw this coming.
Well,
and did you see it coming?
Yes and no. Because this came out on Game Pass years ago for PC.
Right.
So I knew that there wasn't... there was only a console exclusive.
Yeah.
But it took so long for it to come onto the Xbox console. No one knew when that exclusivity ended.
Right.
But I thought Xbox would have made a bigger deal out of this, to be honest with you. That's just their marketing dollars being cut again.
Well, yeah. It is interesting because we had I just posted a random piece on Threads, which is usually like a desert wasteland. When you post anything on that, it just goes into the ether, goes into Mark Zuckerberg's, I don't know, shadow ban or whatever. I don't know what it is. And that was the first post on Threads for a while that actually had any interaction. So there is some excitement around this. It was hitting the 400, 500 heat on M4G, and you bought it. And it's interesting because as someone who had often bought FIFA on both consoles, this has to be one of the few games that you've bought not only on PlayStation 5, but also Xbox.
Yeah.
Was it the novelty of seeing something fresh from Kojima arriving on Xbox, or?
Well, considering that Xbox is still my main platform.
Yeah.
And the fact that it was half price at launch, $19.99, I couldn't argue with that. I thought it was, I knew it was going to be around sort of 40, 50.
Yeah.
Turns out the recommended retail was $39.99. I wouldn't have done it at that, but for 20, it's too easy.
It's a pretty decent price, and it's director's cut as well. Which do you know what's in the director's cut, or?
I don't. I've got the director's cut on PS5 as well, but
right.
I just tend to have my Xbox on way more than I do my PlayStation, so
50% off then.
Yeah.
You get your full Chivos.
Yeah.
You got that. If you've got an ultra wide monitor, you get support for this game. You get your photo mode. I mean, it ain't Stellar Blade, so I mean, what if you want to take a picture of Daryl holding a baby? I guess it's.
I mean, it's relevant nowadays.
Well, I don't know if it'll be relevant by the end of 2028, but we shall see. So Kojima, what the story behind this is Kojima's pried away, and Kojima Entertainment is one of itself, independent again, and he's been through these, because I remember he was stuck in that Konami hole for a long time, and now he obviously, I don't think Sony were as abusive as what Konami was. It sounded like a bit of a hell show for Hideo when it came to Konami, but he's pried it away. What that means for Death Stranding 2 is a whole different ball game. It wouldn't surprise me if Sony has at least exclusivity on it for a little while. I mean, this game's been out quite a bit, hasn't it? Really. So,
how long has it been out? Like sort of 6 years, 7 years?
It's been out a good chunk, but it was still interesting to see the reaction. I think it's seeing something that was console exclusive on PlayStation find its way to the full reversal, except it's not in the same manner. It's not like PlayStation have allowed it to something they've said, oh, we can put this game the other way. It's set up that he's basically took full ownership rights back, and then that gives him the opportunity to release at a discount, which I think is smart, because he's probably going to sell more units that way. People probably will be flooding. It wouldn't surprise me if we see Death Stranding actually hit in the top of the sales charts, possibly.
Yeah, I mean,
on the Xbox store.
The idea of it makes sense. Again, my whole gripe with this is, why is Microsoft not making a bigger song and dance about it? The shadow drop's fine. Put a thing on X, Instagram, Facebook, flood the airwaves. The only news I've seen about this is from other users. It doesn't make sense. I saw a little tile on my home screen, an advertising tile, and that was it.
Yeah.
That was it.
What's your sentiment, by the way? Are you still, I mean, we were to go back 3-4 episodes ago, you're ready to leave Microsoft. Has that tempered out a little bit, or I think still in the same mind?
That decision has to be made when we're on the cusp of buying new consoles. I even if I make a decision now, anything can change between now and 2026.
Yeah.
We could have new leadership, new budgets, new acquisitions. Anything can happen. Anything can change. For me, it's more of from a systems perspective, I want to see that dashboard change, because I'm having so many issues with that dashboard on modern screens, especially when it flickers between HDR on and HDR off. It's causing major issues. I keep getting controller dropouts, which is still a bug on the Xbox support website till this day.
Really?
I'll be playing a game and all of a sudden my controller cuts out and then it will reconnect by itself. I cannot believe that 5 years after launch we're still getting that issue. From a leadership standpoint, I want them to make a firm stance. Are you a platform? Are you a service? Or are you a console? Or are you all three? Whatever you decide to do, pick it, stick to it, and keep your messaging simple. Because right now, I said this before, I feel like I'm in an abusive relationship. Give them a second chance, and then I get bent over again. I give them another chance, I get bent over again. Whereas PlayStation, despite me not liking their business practices, they've been very consistent about them bending people over. So at least I can respect that.
Yeah.
So I think it really depends on what they're going to do for the next console, what PlayStation's doing for the PS6. PlayStation's not doing so hot either. They've had to shut down, what's it called, Firewalk.
Oh, Firewalk. It's probably a good thing.
It probably is a good thing. Bungie's not doing so hot. There's a massive exodus going on over there. So, and they still haven't figured out a response to Game Pass, which is their biggest issue right now. They haven't had a first-party major lineup launch in the longest time. They used to be one every quarter. Now we've had Astro Bot. We've got Silent Hill, but that's kind of third party. I mean, and Wolverine is, the signs are
reskin.
Well, recent rumors suggest that it may be going through a bit of a development hell because the creative director has actually been poached and is now working on Perfect Dark. So that's a good thing for Perfect Dark from Insomniac.
Yeah.
But the creative director from Ratchet and Clank has been brought over to work on Wolverine.
Right.
So if you take the cutesiness factor out of it, Ratchet and Clank, very successful game, probably the best example of utilizing the PS5's SSD.
Yeah.
So make of it what you will. But the fact we haven't seen anything since that initial launch trailer, 4 years ago now? 4 years. Doesn't look good. Doesn't look good. So
no, but I mean, we were to go back maybe 10 episodes ago. We were talking about Wolverine, the footage that we did see. It looks like a Spider-Man reskin.
Yeah.
You know, maybe it won't be, which is
Maybe
could
it
be a
won't
good
be.
thing, you know.
But I mean, from what we saw, the game looked at a quite advanced stage. Okay, there were textures missing, but that's something you add on at the end. But the combat was there, traversal was there. There were cutscenes, but if I remember correctly, the voice actor's audio wasn't in yet. It was just subtitles. So it wasn't like they were still in concept phase. There was an actual playable build. Okay, you're building a city, I get it. But considering you've got the blueprint there already from Spider-Man, Miles Morales, and Spider-Man 2, this shouldn't be too far off from that. Okay, you've got to design new mechanics because it's Wolverine. How does he traverse through the world? Okay, well, Wolverine, he tends to ride a motorcycle. So we've got driving mechanics now instead of web swinging. You know, they got to think about all these Easter eggs. He's laying on the couch looking at the photo of Deadpool. You know, they've got to incorporate all these things into the game. But that shouldn't take 4 years. We should have seen a trailer at least a year ago from now, you know, with a 12-month window. I don't know. Something's off about it. I'm not sure why, but we know it's going to slap.
They're in a difficult position because you might as well give Grand Theft Auto its breathing space at this point.
And that's exactly my next point. You're gonna Insomniac have got to make a choice. You either drop it like sharpish,
front end of the year, yeah,
or you'll lose to GTA 6. It doesn't matter if you're Insomniac and you're the guys who made Spider-Man. You will not beat GTA 6. No. You will not. And just as of a week or two ago, Rockstar have said they're officially still on track for a late 2025 release. So they put out a slide deck or something that leaked with all of their predicted release windows, and still on track for 2025.
What do you make of the... So I read an article today about GTA 6, sorry. People shouldn't be concerned if you are a Series S owner about this running on it.
Should be very concerned.
That means they would be capping performance at the higher end to do that, perhaps.
I mean...
Because we've talked about leaving the S behind at this point. But...
I tell you what I'm more worried about. I mean, it's obvious you're going to get a stripped-down version on the S. That's a no-brainer. I'm more worried about the parity and getting approval for launch. Are we going to have another Black Myth moment? Are we going to have another Baldur's Gate moment where PlayStation gets it because Xbox are like, nope, you got to release a Series S version simultaneously? Like, Microsoft have had this in two instances now with very big games. Very big games. It's not like an indie game that no one cares about. Made waves, made news, made headlines.
Yeah.
They've got to sit down with Rockstar now and get those contracts signed so that they get written permission to circumvent that requirement. Get it done now. So it's on the X. I mean, but then again, we got GTA 5 on the 360, and that was a technological feat at the time as well. So maybe they can do it, but they're saying that this map is 5 times bigger than GTA 5. I'm all for it. I don't want to be, especially after this week, and we'll talk about this in a bit, but I don't want to be pushed in the direction of buying a PS5 Pro, despite me saying a few episodes ago that I may. Because those...
Wow, we're about to...
Let's go into
that, but let's just quickly get Concord out the way. No one cares about the studio, but here's some news anyway. You know, Firewalk Studios have been closed down, and look, you know, you played the card, man. You've been shut down. It is what it is. What can I say? I mean, if you're going to make someone look like a ham planet in a game, what do you expect? Says a Ham Planet. I don't want to play a Ham Planet if I'm a Ham Planet. So, you know, so they've been shut down. Yeah, a little kind of surprised. Because from a shooting mechanics game, I mean, you know, the fact that this game is... Take the characters out of it, probably played as something that could work, right? If you were to reskin the characters and make it something else, it could work as a pretty sturdy, decent free-to-play shooter. And I'm surprised they're not even playing the assets, like at least selling the assets off or something in a fire sale. But they just decided to just can it. They decided to just put kerosene all over it and go, oh, well.
There was nothing wrong with the core game. All right, it was very well built. It looked nice. It was modern. It felt great. But you went for a market, and that market's already saturated. And we've said this time and time again.
Very, very, very beat the other night.
Listen, you're either playing... that too. You're either playing Roblox, Fortnite, Minecraft, or some other smaller game that, you know, that's right up your alley. That's almost worse than trying to compete with GTA 6 at this point.
Check that hard drive. Anyway, that's Concord. Should we get on to the juice?
Let's get on to
the juice about... Now, you're going to have to lead this section because I'm looking at some data here on the screen and it is already kind of making me circuit out like corn pop. Because I found it really interesting. So I know that Digital Foundry came out with a video with the nicotine teeth, and
he has, hasn't he?
Apparently, this thing ain't as powerful as the leaks suggest. No. So do you want to guide us through this thing? Because
it's exactly
I'm looking at all of these, you know, abbreviations, and I'm struggling a little bit.
You know, this is exactly what was it. Richard Ledbetter said this from the moment they got wind of the specs. All right, my teeth, my teeth don't lie. My teeth don't lie.
Come on, you need to start vaping, dude. Come on.
Look.
Anyway,
you can sit on there and say we're 45% more powerful than the regular PS5 all you want, but it's how the games utilize it. Elden Ring's a perfect example. Averages 48 FPS on the standard PS5 base model. All right, so it's not a solid 60, but better than a 30, so it's playable. This still teeters between 56 and 58 frames on the PS5 Pro.
Yeah.
So you're talking all this bollocks about, oh yeah, it's going to be, you know,
60 FPS, everything's going to be fine.
Mark Cerny's first words were, some games have performance, some games have fidelity.
Some games have performance. No, that's not. That's what's his name, the boxer.
That's Chris Eubank.
Chris Eubank.
No, Mark Cerny's more... We've noticed that 75% of our audience... So you come out the gate in your 7 minutes of packed BS presentation that you want to eliminate this toggle. And it can't even do both. You can't get quality and 60 FPS on games that came out 2 years ago.
Yeah, it's crazy.
All right. Let's just say that's an edge case.
Yeah.
It was on the store last night. There's a new tile on the PS5 store. PS5 Pro enhanced games. I thought, oh, this is great. Yeah. For someone who's got the new console, there's a section specifically for me. It's all old games. It's all old games. I'm telling you, 99% of people have played all of these already. They're not games from 6 months ago, a year ago. Yeah. I mean, the best example right now that we can see for a PS5 Pro is Alan Wake 2. Right. That game was pushing effects out the wazoo. This will utilize that new hardware, and it's been patched to take advantage of it. So, great. But everyone's played Spider-Man 2. Everyone's played Horizon Zero Dawn. Everyone's played Last of Us 1, 2, the remaster, the remake, and the remake of the remaster. We've done all that.
Yeah, Rebirth's kind of on the cusp edge, you know.
Yeah, I mean, I follow a particular YouTuber, Maximilian dude. He's big on Final Fantasy and Street Fighter, and his favorite game of all time is Final Fantasy 7. And even he's like, I did this purely because of streams. Is this going to make the game better? It's going to make it crispier.
Yeah.
But you've got games that run in the 20 FPS and games in the PS1 era that we still hold high regard till this day that ran like bullshit.
Yeah.
But that didn't stop them from being some of the best games ever made. You know?
It doesn't feel like, it's an interesting choice. Yes, it's a mid-gen refresh type of play here, but we're not mid-gen.
We're not.
We're not mid-gen. We're on the cusp of something new. So this mid-gen refresh for me is almost feels like 2 years too late.
It doesn't. We don't need it. Is what I'm trying to figure.
Well, either we traverse a big leap forward, or we don't.
But it's not delivering anything meaningful. With the previous mid-gen, the PS4
Apart
Pro,
from the Stellar Blade photo mode. That's it.
And even with that, you can fill in the blanks if you ain't got the Pro.
Well, yeah, exactly.
And just don't shoot any blanks. But hey, PS4 Pro and the One X gave us 4K. That was a big enough reason to invest in that. Gave us 4K. This isn't giving us anything new. 10 frames for $700? Really? Is that what we're at? And it's really weird that Sony didn't read the room. They're normally pretty good about this stuff. For once, Xbox did the right thing. I mean, when Phil said years ago, we're not doing a mid-gen refresh, I'm thinking, oh, for God's sake, Phil, you're annoying me. I mean, he was right.
Well, he is right when you consider just how long it had took 4 Series X games to finally push the hardware.
Yeah.
I mean, you can't the slow paceness of something like Hellblade 2, as good as that thing looks, I still don't think that's the system, that the game that pushes this machine to the max. It's going to be the new GTA that's really going to push that system to the, what it can potentially handle. Whole different ball game when you're talking about your walking simulator versus, giant, massive open world. I'd say even that for me, something like Flight Simulator 2024 challenges us that more against something like Hellblade 2.
Yeah.
Looking forward to that, by the way. It's going to be interesting to see how improved that is, how more crispy my house is.
I experienced something weird on that, actually, when the first Flight Sim came out a few years ago. I don't know what I did. This was launch day. It came out on Game Pass. I thought, let me give this a spin. I did something on the menu, and I brought up like a Windows menu. It had like the cursor and everything, a couple of icons. It was weird.
Yeah.
I actually managed to get Windows working on the Xbox.
What?
It was weird. Like, I could see the Windows mouse cursor and like 2 icons on the left, and there was a message in the middle of the screen. I don't know if it's some sort of a Windows environment or something. It was weird though. Yeah.
I don't know. I just hope the new version of that game is... My biggest thing was I just used to go to the world map and take off from a few airports, have a fly around. I never did any of the proper missions in the game. There was too much of a barrier, and I'm hoping when the new one comes out that... Simplify it for the layman,
Yeah.
I'd quite happily have a Euro Truck Simulator style, Microsoft Flight Simulator. Just show me how to land that plane properly instead of it bouncing up and down like a baked bean that's been cooked too much,
Richard Ledbetter's baked beans.
Anyway, quick update. We've done a couple of little short videos on Infinity Nikki. Not your bag, I'm sure, but it might be mine. I think we might finally have a release date window. It's going to be in December this game comes out. It's now listed on the PlayStation Store. You can grab your pre-pack of cosmetics for £7.99. And I'm going to dunk into that. I'm looking forward to giving this game a play over Christmas. And I thought I'd let people know. That's that news story done. But I've just got a soft spot for that game. Like I've got a soft spot for Killer Bean,
Do it. I mean, that's what gaming's about. Individuality.
Should we talk about Nintendo for a bit? Yeah.
Yeah, they've announced a new tidbit. Not a Switch 2 still.
Oh my god!
But it's gonna be on Switch 2.
Well, should we do the play that funky music wide boy bit first?
Let's do it.
So Nintendo have release something brand new. They brought the alarm clock. We're looking for the Switch 2. But we don't get the Switch 2.
No
We've
Switch
now
2.
got a music service, ladies and gentlemen.
Because that's what everyone wants.
Everyone wants Nintendo's version of Spotify. For goodness sake. I mean, if you were to talk... This is the classic institutional version of someone doing the penguin. You go to a massage parlour and they tease, and then they walk away. I mean, that's nothing to do with my life.
Listen,
but it's just...
If Adolf Hitler had a radio station and said, this is the music you should be listening to, that's what this is. Who wanted this?
I don't know.
An amazing site that has been around for eons is Overclocked Remix.
No, this is a separate thing that I'm going to talk about afterwards.
Okay.
So Nintendo have released Nintendo Music, which is free for Nintendo Switch Online members, probably because they're thinking about, are people getting enough bang for their buck?
So is this an app then? It's an app
This
on your
is an
phone?
app, yeah, it's an app. You can listen to Nintendo tracks. I'm not being funny, but that is a real edge case.
Right,
Oh,
looking for
fancy
it.
listen to some music whilst walking to Astor. I'll listen to Big Blue from F-Zero. It's
You know
like,
what?
come on.
Super Mario Sunshine title theme sounds real good, right?
Just, I don't know. Anyway,
Nintendo Music, it's here. Hang on. No.
you can download
Nintendo Music,
from...
it's here.
It is.
It's number 15 in the music charts.
Yeah, that's how bad
And
music is these days.
It's got 4 stars out of 5. Okay.
Are you
I'm
going
trying to find a
that
funny.
thing? I
I'm
mean, you need
trying to find a funny
It
comment.
wouldn't surprise me.
This is a free app. Though. Shut up. I'm trying to find a
Well,
funny
you've got to pay
review.
if you don't have Switch Online, you've got to pay for that thing.
Well, it's not going to happen. Here we go. 2 stars. Honestly, I was pretty excited for this app. It looked cool, and the no spoiler feature is a cool idea. App is free, which is cool. You need a thesaurus, mate. But you have to have an online membership to use any function of the app. Honestly, I'm not really surprised, but still disappointed to realize this. I don't believe that Nintendo would change this either. But having a paywall to listen to music like this is kind of unfair for the people.
Oh,
You're all right, mate.
Sounds like a communist. Anyway.
Fine app, meh service. Oh,
So-
someone's titled a review, and this is the last one.
Yeah.
Dream come true at last. All right, there's one guy out there who wants this.
There's one guy out there who wants it, who's leaving cheese maps in his boxer shorts.
Yeah, I mean, people sell feet pictures, so why not this?
He's going to be finding the treasure. Nintendo Music is a music service launched on October 30th and designed exclusively with their music at heart. Featuring franchises such as Super Mario, The Legend of Zelda and more. Users can create their personal... I mean, you've done Spotify playlists, extend track play times, even recommendation. It's wow, what a USP. In a nutshell, basically it's their music on an app. All we want is the Switch 2. Will you please stop blue balling us, Nintendo? We're going to get it in March next year with a November release. That's what's going to happen. Nintendo going to come out in March. I looked at the historical. We're not going to hear anything this side of the year. I'm even skeptical that we're going to hear anything from Sarah Bond this year now. Seriously. Sarah Bond was saying we're going to hear something about new Xbox hardware this year.
Well, Video Game Awards is round the corner. When is that? 2-3 weeks from now? If
it just feels too quiet, man.
But that's also a sign of something brewing. It's normally when it is too quiet this happens.
Well, maybe.
Video Game Awards.
My favourite memorable tunes are F-Zero's Big Blue and Mario 64's Die Die Docks. Now, if you want some more music, rather than pay for a Nintendo Online subscription, why not support your local creator? Your local creator has been making music out of video game tracks for years, for decades actually, because Overclocked Remix, OCR Remix, I think, .org or something like that, is an amazing website that I've been checking out for very, very many years. And it basically, you can go in and select a game and see everyone's remixes of the original track. And I recommend maybe take 5 minutes, Shady, check out people's interpretations of the Speedball theme tune. There's a guy who's done it with like the electric guitar, and it's amazing.
Okay.
So it's a free site. You can check out all of the music on it. You can download it. I mean, look, I'm just saying. I mean, that's already been out there for eons. Much better service. But there we go. We got the rest of this is Switch orientated for today's show. We got 26 minutes to bang this out quick. So, Switch 2 is apparently backwards compatible. Jury's out over the cartridge. So maybe Nintendo were finally, because the biggest complaint against all of these lawsuits and lawfare, which we talked about last episode, and talked about their museum using a Windows 10 emulator and all of this stuff, is the fact that, look, I want to support you, Nintendo, but this whole idea of jumping from generation to generation and you reselling us the same old stuff is just completely unpalatable. The fact that Xbox, I can go back as far as it is the 360, right?
The original now. You can get time splitters on there.
But does it, I don't know, I think you would have to rebuy. So if you...
Yeah,
the original Xbox didn't have digital purchases, right? As far as I'm aware.
It didn't, no. So those ones you have to rebuy because it was work put in to get them.
But from 360 to where we are, which is we're on the third generation since they've done the honouring, that you've bought it once, you can re-download it, and by and large, bar a few games that are controlled by people like Ubisoft and other entities, they would even give you the free upgrade graphics patch for free. Mm-hmm. Apart from, if you've bought Tony Hawk's 1 and 2, you've got to pay for a different version.
Yeah.
You don't, that's the beauty. That's the beauty when someone comes to us, coming up with a sell point between something like PlayStation and Xbox. The fact is that, they do. You can't say that they don't give a service, and we know we're in this really weird transition period of trying to figure out what they are. Whether it's Caitlin or someone else. It's just one. It's one of those situations. They're trying to figure out who they are as a game company right now. But Switchers, Nintendo have always been there every step of the way, trying to scout people to buy Mario 64 for the 8th time, and this is the first generation by the looks of it. So if I bought Mario Kart 8 on the Switch, I can know that when I go onto the Switch 2, I'm going to be able to reinstall that. It's going to work. So it's 50% goodness, 50% ambiguity. We don't know what's going to be happening with the microSD, even if they're going to use microSD anymore on this new piece of hardware. So we're kind of halfway there. I'd like to see them go the full tilt, even if they can't do it via the cartridge form. If there was something like, if you whack a full cartridge in, you get a one tag authenticator against that particular piece of plastic that says, yes, you're entitled to a digital version of this.
Oh, but that's what Xbox tried to do during the Xbox One. And we saw what happened with that.
Well, yes.
They were literally going to be reading the serial number from the disc, downloading a license from the net, and matching your console serial number with that disc. So if you sold that disc, nope, weren't working.
So now they're going to, overcome this.
I think Nintendo's in a bit of an interesting position because they know they have to move along with the times.
Yeah.
But with the success of the first Switch, you've got so many of these cartridges out there. To alienate that kind of an audience would just be suicide. So I think the bare minimum you can do, even if there's no upscaling or no additional work, is just at least let it run natively on the new hardware, which I think is the base. So at least that way, if I've got unplayed games, whether it's digital or physical...
A little bit like the Emotion Engine on the original bread bin PS3.
Well, not that strict, but...
Well, the Emotion Engine back was compatible until they took the George Foreman out of it.
Yeah. As long as I can... Because, no one's moving on to a new generation without a backlog. It's just not possible. Nowadays, it's not possible. So whether it's one game or 400 like me, if I can move on to the new hardware and still maintain where I am in my gaming journey and my to-do list and purchases and this and that and my settings, you've got to take that into consideration now. Nintendo isn't just played by kids. That's just the harsh reality.
Yeah.
We've got Fortnite players on Nintendo Switch. We've got Rocket League players on Nintendo Switch. Minecraft. All this stuff's got to be transferred over. They've got to start taking online seriously.
Yeah, exactly. And they've got a real opportunity here. So someone looked into... Last episode we were contemplating what the playtest was all about. And I think, actually, on reflection, you're probably right. This was more about an online stress test looking at things surrounding the Switch successor. So there's a guy called Blue Sky who is a data miner, essentially. He'll look at code that's been deployed on networks and kind of reverse it and see what's inside it. Now, apparently, it denotes that Switch 2 will support a 4K output, and there's going to be some cell shading or mesh shaders support for the Switch 2, which denotes to me, are Nintendo, or can Nintendo start to expand their repertoire a little bit? Because by and large, it's wholesome. We saw a moment in the GameCube where we brought out something really unique at the time, for them at least, which was Eternal Darkness. Is it possible we've kind of hit a point with Switch, if they can get to a 4K point, where they might even look at expanding that genre now, first party wise, and start to satisfy more age
Hardcore
brackets
gamers?
with games like Nintendo's flavor on a real horror game or something like that.
Well, you've also got to remember as well is Nintendo were the reason why Resident Evil 4 actually came out, because that was a GameCube exclusive back in the day, and it's regarded as the best survival horror game to date.
Yeah.
If it wasn't for that, we wouldn't have it. We wouldn't have the remake. Wouldn't have it eventually come to other platforms.
Yeah.
I'm still in two minds. Are they gonna? Is this gonna be a pro dock? Because you're not going to get 4K on a small screen like that and keep it under 300.
Yeah.
Are you going to say, everyone who's got a Switch, we still love you.
Yeah.
But if you really want to get in there, here's the Switch Pro, which is actually a dock. And it's got that GPU in there that when you attach it to your TV, it then becomes this whole, wow. You know what I mean? It's got a little SD card reader in there for even more storage, or...
Yeah.
an M.2, whatever you want to do. I don't know. I mean, personally, I'd like it to be both. I'd like it to be a new handheld made with better materials, because it was flimsy as hell, the first Switch.
Well, at least we know the triggers are going to be a bit more on point this time.
Right.
Yeah.
So I think it is. I mean, we've seen leaked CADs and stuff, so it's definitely going to be a new handheld. But I do want there to be an add-on. So maybe the handheld goes up, it gets bumped from 720p to 1080 for the handheld part, with a ton of internal storage. Let's bump it from 32 gig to 256, something meaningful, right? Better screen, better audio, speeds, battery, all that stuff, right? Stuff we expect. But, shove another 250, 300 into it.
What the 64DD did with the N64, and put that extra power maybe in the dock.
But do it at launch so game developers invest in it.
Yeah.
If you do this, 4 or 5 years into the life cycle.
And a memory expansion pack.
Right. Memory expansion, 32X, all these add-on things. Or even, look, PS5 Pro, it don't work. So out the gate, and that's why Microsoft's approach to two consoles worked. Yeah. Out the gate, you got to develop for both. Put it in the clause, right? The contractual clause. You got a Switch only, Switch 2 only? Fine, here's your version. Works beautiful, better than the first one. You got the Pro dock as well. You get all this extra stuff. Do it from day one. I'd love to see it.
Yeah,
I'd buy it.
And they could just get rid of the light completely if they did something like that. The Switch Lite, handheld only version. Just take that SKU out of the equation.
Yeah.
And
or maybe just drop the price of it, and maybe, your kids who just play Pokemon can still play Pokemon.
Yeah, just give them a real, Tomy version of the thing.
Or get them in an encyclopedia.
Like
65,000 words to learn.
Yeah.
Or something, I don't know. Buy them a dictionary. I don't know.
Wow. I mean,
Melania's new book just came out.
It's top of the charts, apparently, yeah.
I bought one from the wife.
Okay. Did you really? Anyway, well, that is pretty much, we've kind of bust the nut on this episode. It was hour 14 in.
You got to stop the gin, mate.
Got to stop the gin, exactly.
Gin and juice.
We're still drinking in here. So that kind of wraps up what we've got to talk about this week. It's been a powered episode. Dare I say, perhaps one of our best, which is ironic because, we kind of didn't go in with a feature game.
Zero prep for this episode.
But sometimes,
Surprised the green screens actually came out.
Sometimes you get gold from zero prep, but
yeah.
But there we go. Anyway, guys, we're going to be back in a couple of weeks where we hope we'll have a bit more time to get into the weeds with some potential feature game content. You know what I'd love to do? I'd love to take it back at something that's multiplayer again, co-op experience, something that's got to be out there. Because I know for a few weeks we've been very much single player orientated. Yeah. And there's got to be something that we can multiplayer and dedicate that original roots to and see what. But hopefully something that's come out recently.
Or if you've got something for us, let us know in the comments below. Yeah. It's been a while since you reached out to us people.
Well, yeah, exactly. Anyone would think that the world's made of bots. But anyway, guys, thanks for listening. Thanks for watching. We shall see you guys in a couple of weeks' time. And then, I don't know where we'll stand. I'd imagine by the end of November, we might be thinking about taking a bit of a Christmas. I don't know. We'll see how we vibe, but we've got to take a little bit of a break at some point.
We'll start to think about our favourite Christmas games of all time.
We'll do the Game Awards and maybe set sail for the year.
Our last reaction.
In 2025. Oh, by the way, we've got to do one thing, and I'm happy to take the ownership of the edit. And that would be our own version of the Game Awards. So we'll record it on here. I'll edit it. I'll take the hit. But we got to do our own version of the Game Awards.
Done. Yeah. Put the categories and nominees up.
Most stupid decision of the year goes to, that type of thing.
I'm here for it. Let's do it.
Yeah. Okay.
Let's do it.
Anyway, we'll see you guys in a couple of weeks, guys. Take care. Ciao for now.